Welcome to Zero's. Okay, we're cutting.
We're cutting.
No, we're not.
Yeah,
We're not
we
cutting any
are.
of this.
No,
We're not cutting any of this. Someday, Krista, after 10 years, you're going to look back and see the progression.
I'm Krista, along with Carson and Freddy. How are you guys?
We're great.
Prime.
Let's just get into it. Let's just talk. I don't know. What should we start with first? Oh, man cheating in chess. Who was that? You?
No, I think that was me. So I was reading the BBC the other week, not the Daily Mail, and
That's new for you.
All this success is clearly going to your head now.
Nah, it's just, honestly, we're back to raising money, and I want to be able to sound like, I know what's going on in the world.
And when you're talking to Americans, just sound British. It's fine.
So
you laugh, but it's true.
No, I was on an investment committee meeting this morning.
You put your English accent on?
No, but the person speaking, she had a British accent, and I was like, that probably the only qualification she ever had for this job is the British accent. I swear to fuck.
Wow.
So my attention turned to cheating at a chess competition in Kenya. Now, this is multi-layered.
Which is a hotbed of chess excellence.
Yes.
I did not know that. Okay.
Now,
it's not.
There's been a lot of uproar in the US, I think especially in like collegiate sports about, trans athletes, whether they should be able to compete as women, whether they should have their own class, at what point you should draw the line based on hormones, testosterone. Truth be told, I don't really care. What I think is fascinating about Kenya is that when they have chess tournaments, they actually have them separately for men and for women, which, as far as I was aware, there is not a great physical requirement for chess.
I think they do that here too.
Yeah.
I
only know that because.
Wait.
No, I think they do separate by sex, and it's something that I've puzzled over. Like honestly, I'm not sure what the rationale.
Well, just when we need the Borat book, I assume it's because Kenya is one of those places that still think that women have a small brain. But anyway,
I'm almost sure.
Or what Sacha Baron Cohen, when he was doing Ali G, referred to as a crap country.
Yes. So what I think is fantastic about this is, obviously intellectually superior male decided to compete in a female's competition. Now, he didn't go the whole hog of like the hormone therapy, all the other stuff. He just put a burka on, went into the competition, fucking smashed all the women. Now, the thing that gave it away, apparently, was he didn't talk at all during the competition.
Maybe it's because women were never allowed to go to school there.
Could be that. We're going to find out and probably get no interest from the Kenyan Sovereign Wealth Fund. So he wins the competition.
Yeah. Well, as soon as they can get a Sovereign Wealth Fund, we'll have the conversation.
Let's see if Goldman can raise it for them.
Goldman can take it from them.
So how he got caught was he didn't talk to anyone during the competition, which people thought was quite strange because apparently it is a little bit social and it's not uncommon to talk to like the person you're playing chess with. However, Homeboy was rocking like size 11 Converse, so like poking out from his burka with these massive fucking shoes. So he just kind of like have a little look up there and they're like, this is not going to cut it. Now, this is apparently not the first time he'd done it either. So they are, I think, thinking of banning him from all competitions in Kenya.
But I don't understand why he destroyed the competition there. So a few weeks ago we were talking about this morning. So there's a trans female powerlifter, right, who recorded this video.
Trans female powerlifter.
Right, so it was a dude who was a powerlifter, became female, and then recorded this video and she's like the world record holder, the Canadian record holder for like bench press now. And so she recorded this video where she's looking into the camera saying, I don't know why women aren't better at the bench press. It's embarrassing that women aren't better, I mean, it's just, the phrase would be the balls on this chick, right?
Yeah.
For speaking like that. And a lot of people thought so. So this one dude then entered as a woman powerlifting contest. And he did it to prove this point, right? So he's got this huge bushy beard. He's just like a big dude. He's not even dressed like a woman. Just gets there in front of her, just fucking annihilates.
She's in the audience.
She's in the audience, just fucking annihilates her record.
On International Women's Day.
Right. On International Women.
What?
Then he did it to prove the point because they had gone to, the Canadian governing body had gone to this, self-identification rule. Like if you identify as a woman, then you enter as a woman. So he did it to prove this point that, this is fucking stupid and take the record away from,
Totally.
Yeah, take the woman who used to be a man who was talking shit about women in powerlifting. So anyway, I mean, like that I could understand how and why a dude would smash the competition. I'm still trying to understand it in Kenyan chess. Like what I mean, seriously.
Do you think he was using anal beads? Do you think that's why he had this? He had those like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's probably
why.
The
IoT anal beads,
right?
Not just. We got to be. But would they have sufficient internet service, or are they like Starlinked? This is the real use case. Like after this Russia-Ukraine war is over, like cheating in third world chess tournaments with like Starlinked anal beads. That's
where it's
the use case.
So anyway, next, Krista.
Should we talk about the video that Matt, is it Moulding?
Moulding. There's a G on the end.
Oh, there's a G?
Yeah. I mean, when I Googled it earlier today, it turns out there's a G there.
Oh.
Guess you
CEO
British just don't pronounce the last.
Well, I mean,
Are
the
you
part of
sure?
the country he's from, like...
He's the CEO of the Hut Group.
He is, which
Yes.
is a UK-listed shitco.
Which always makes me think of a Star Wars character, but okay.
So this guy, it's really interesting. He had a small business that was actually probably an okay little business. It was called he bought, I think, myprotein.com, and it was like, make your own, like...
I'm sorry, wait. Where's this go? Myprotein.com. I mean, seriously, did nobody get this one?
First of all, are you sure it was myprotein.com?
I think it was called
Now it's yourprotein.com. Hang on. There's some right there. You go.
So it was back when, the muscle protein stuff, I think, first got popular in the UK, and like the idea was you could kind of customize it, I guess, somehow. I think I can't actually remember if that was the whole business. And somewhere along the way, he goes from being like local boy made good, probably worth like 50, 100 million pound, like kind of real business, into this like, I'm gonna buy a ton of just complete shit, put it all together, KKR are gonna get in there, and actually I think they sold out and made some real money, so better lucky than smart, believe me.
Maybe it was smart.
Maybe it was.
I mean, because like it doesn't have to be a good business to make money, right? Like,
true.
We've been around long enough to know that.
That those two things are actually not linked at all.
There's no relationship, and maybe an inverse correlation.
Quite likely.
At least post GFC.
So, he eventually kind of gets the way to being this like £5 billion listing. Now, just before the IPO, it turns out there's these real estate assets that he sells to himself. I think he gives himself a golden share. So, basically it can't really be replaced as CEO. None of that matters. My favorite part is how on his Instagram, he's standing there like surrounded by chicks in Mykonos or Vegas, doing the kind of like, I'm a fucking northerner and I'm ripped to shit with bottles. And a few people like pointed out that if you're going to be the CEO of a publicly listed company, that's maybe not the look you are going for. Well, you're not the CEO of a publicly listed company, all right? Like, don't.
Hey man, I'm just thinking of Edwin Dorsey. I mean, minus the being ripped, but okay.
All right, we're going to get some side-by-side Edwin Dorsey, Matt Moulding, and I think it's unfavorable as a comparison for Edwin Dorsey. But anyway, at some point, a firm in London called The Analyst, and we subscribe, we like them, we think they do good work, wrote a couple of, very like light touch, but fair pieces pointing out some pretty glaring issues that were in the publicly available filings. And I think since then, the stock is probably down 90%. And this guy, Matt Moulding, has just gone this like long campaign against short sellers, like all the good theories, offshore short sellers causing my stock price to collapse, cabals of short sellers. And then the other week, with the stock down like 95% from the all-time high,
which was probably the IPO.
Yeah, he puts out this like crazy motivational video with
my God.
who was it? Like Morgan Freeman and
Denzel's
in it. And he writes this long tirade about how no one wants to list in London because of the evil cabal of short sellers that get together and just like push prices down for the sport of it. I wish we could do that. This guy is just so fucking unhinged.
So I watched that video earlier today, hence I am aware of the G on the end of the name. And number one, I mean, it didn't seem to be a screed against short sellers so much as it was a promotional video for a stock.
Right.
I felt that the anti-short seller message was really the second message, or secondary message. But I mean, he uses a lot from a lot of footage from The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes.
There's another movie in there that he uses a lot from too. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, he massively infringes copyright there. Like, it's for a blatantly commercial use. So it falls outside of the fair use doctrine. I mean, it's too long and it's too commercial to be fair use. So, I mean, I'm kind of curious why they don't fucking sue him.
Didn't he originally just, this was going out to his employees, like for the holiday time?
He put it on his LinkedIn.
And then he put it on
his
LinkedIn.
Listen,
it created such
I saw it. It's not a private video. Like this is publicly.
No, now, but I'm just saying at first.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
so what I was thinking though is like, look, this guy clearly has a really incorrect view of short sellers. I was like, last time that happened to us, we just invite people to the office, they get to know us a bit. They then write very favorable coverage. But I was thinking like Matt Moulding, should we sit down with him when we're in London and tell him? And I'm like, that guy's fucking ripped. And he's from like a fairly tough part of Manchester. I'm not sure I would fare very well. Like, I think that guy could really, really knock someone out.
What if I threw you at him?
Not a lot of upside for me still here.
I don't know.
No, but I mean, with that,
throw him at him.
I mean, dude, Matt,
like a bowling ball, and like
slide Freddy across the
what
table.
What if I just do the old
thing? So look,
but that's okay.
Clearly, like he's running a shitco, but if there was an award for him, I think it would be hardest looking CEO in the UK market.
I would love you to meet him.
Do you remember? I know you don't, because you've never seen them, strangely enough, but the South Park episode where Cartman has that weight gain 2000.
Yes.
Right? He sees early South Park. It's, I think, season 2 or 3. Sees the infomercial for this guy named Beefcake saying, are you tired of being a scrawny 120-pound weakling? I weigh 120 pounds. Get Beefcake. So anyway, it just totally reminds me of that with my protein. So we're going to have to hopefully splice that in, which will be within the fair use doctrine if we don't do too much of that.
So,
And since there's zero commercial purpose
right,
at
it's
all
called
to
myprotein.com.
anything we're discussing here.
So if Joe Lowe is watching, because I think he did fund the Wolf of Wall
He
Street,
did,
right? And
yeah.
you're looking to, assert some serious legal claims in the Court of London.
That'd be fucking awesome.
That'd be so dope.
But that was in 2011 that they're like, the Hut Group adds muscle with the acquisition of myprotein.com.
Krista, this is some of the best research you've ever done.
You sure that's not? You sure that's not 2021?
I think it says 2011.
I think the acquisition was
okay.
in 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
All
way
right.
back when.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Look at you.
Do you use the Wayback Machine for that?
What's that?
Do you use the Wayback Machine?
No,
Do you know what it is?
no.
Okay.
It's an essential tool for what we do.
Anyway, and I don't know this item that we're going to talk about next, which is
I think you mischaracterized this.
MW versus a journalist with a PhD.
Is that how you spell that? PhD?
I don't know.
It's a PhD.
Okay.
Um,
That was your item.
Yeah, no, it's my item. It's my angst, but I wasn't going to say that it's just about like this one PhD, but all right, back up here. So some Republican senators, including this one guy, Senator Marshall, commissioned a report on the origins of COVID, and it was released 2 weeks ago. And so you could get it from Senator Marshall's website. And the title of the report, so the cover page is dark blue. Title of the report is Muddy Waters, The Origins of COVID. And it's got the authors of the report, Dr. So-and-so Cadlick, Dr. So-and-so. Anyway, I didn't pay attention. Like, I wouldn't give a shit. Like,
Right.
it's, whatever. But I look at my Twitter feed, I guess that morning or the next morning, and I see this one Twitter account that I've never heard of before, basically say, is the author of this report the same as the, quote, foot soldier in the global war against truth? Like basically referencing something I put in the like the Twitter profile for @MuddyWatersRe. And she just starts bombing on like us being partisan hacks or something like that. And there's a link. So I click on the link because I have no idea what the fuck. Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I just woke up, man. What the fuck? And I click through, and it's a link to, I guess, a version of the report with a doctored cover. And so the doctored cover, it says it's in like our hues or our logo colors. And it's got kind of Halloween spooky blood dripping font, reading COVID-19. It says by the Muddy Waters Group, but it actually has the wrong date. It has January of 2023, which this report, the actual cover is April 15th, 2023. And, and then like her little, like followers jump on it. And I mean, and so I click through like, who the fuck is this? Right? So Twitter profile says, Amy Maxman, PhD, award-winning journalist, right? So it's like, wow, what the fuck? So anyway, I got to catch up on this. I'm like, what is this shit? So I look at that report. I'm like, all right. I mean, look, obviously we didn't write the motherfucker.
So
I mean,
what
I know we. Well,
we
so
haven't written any reports this year.
I know, like that's true. I mean,
that was easy.
our fucking LPs. Is this why you haven't written a fucking report yet? So I reply, or I try to reply, but I'm unable to because only people she follows may reply to her, right?
Oh, this is getting annoying.
Yeah, it's getting, so it's self-anointed, appointed expert, who's too fragile and ego to allow the hoi polloi to reply to her. So anyway, I retweet, tagging her and just say, this is the work of a PhD and award-winning journalist. Like you can't even figure this out. So anyway, we end up having this exchange where in that thread where she asks me whether we wrote it. And I write, no. So then she goes back to her original post and she corrects the record by saying, at Muddy Waters Reed denies being the author of this report. I'm like, bitch, like, what the
fuck?
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You made a mistake. And, and so then I go and I research this and I'm like, oh, here's the real report. Like, this took all of, 12 seconds of using Google to fucking find the real report. Now I'm pissed because she's obviously like one of these like hyper partisan, constantly hyperventilating people, like spends all her fucking Twitter time just like, ranting about the other side. And like, I don't want us pulled into this world of shittiness and all of her Twitter followers jumping up and down, like accusing us of picking sides and all this. So anyway, but the thing that really pissed me off about it is just, if this were a rando on Twitter, like fine, whatever. We get those all the time. You fucking put in your Twitter bio, PhD, award-winning journalist. Like you're holding yourself out to the world as an expert. And so anyway, I ended up emailing her because she has her email address in there. And I emailed her after the fact and I was like, that was not a correction of the record. Okay. When you said they deny it, I showed you the actual link. Go out and either delete your tweet, or
she was gonna apologize
or basically retract, and there should be an apology.
Yeah.
So she waits 4 or 5 days to reply to me. The reply comes through, and she's like, and so she says, well, I noticed that there were men out there who had made the same mistake, but I don't notice you going at them the way you went at me. So now she wants to play like that, like left-wing card of like, oh, well, this must be toxic masculinity or, like misogyny. And I just let her have it. I'm like, no, it's because you advertise that you're a fucking PhD and award-winning journalist, which means trust the fuck out of me because I know what I'm doing. Anyway, I didn't hear back.
Tell you,
but
it makes a lot of sense now why they separate men and women for chess.
Oh, yeah.
Sick.
I mean, and why the dude crushed the women? Like,
Did you do this from your Gmail account?
No, from my Muddy Waters account.
You were busy that day.
Muddy Waters,
Was it 2 weeks ago?
but that's Muddy Waters COVID-19 group account.
Anyway.
So yeah. So anyway, it was just. But there was also there was also at one point when some like other PhD who usually follows her kind of jumped to her defense and is like, she made a mistake. Why all the vitriol? That's over the top. And I just replied to him. I'm like, another PhD, LOL. So he didn't get it. So he wrote back, he tweets back like, yes, we are Legion. And so then I kind of let him have it. I was like, yes, Legion in making mistakes, never admitting to have made a mistake.
Yeah, that's what pisses
covering up for colleagues' mistakes and basically helping to destroy society's trust in expertise and institutions. That's what this Legion is doing. And so the reply to that from him was, okay. But anyway.
Wow, that's pretty deep.
But yeah, it's like, this really burns my ass, not just because of the Muddy Waters element here, but it's like, look, I believe in facts. I believe in truth. I think expertise is important.
Totally,
I mean, it's definitely better than letting the guy in like 22B fly the fucking plane. But the problem is, when the fucking pilots act like this, I get why everybody's like, give him another beer and show him to the cockpit. Yeah, we'll land this bitch. That's what this sort of bullshit does to society. So anyway, that was that.
Speaking of expertise, let's cue up the next thing.
Jerome Powell getting pranked by the Russians.
Yeah, so this was awesome.
These two comedians, go ahead.
Were they comedians?
Yes.
Okay.
They've done this to a slew of very well-known.
A slew?
Is that
That's
like three Schneeburgers hanging out together? Like, oh, it's a slew of Schnees.
Anyway, yes. They're two comedians.
And what happened?
No, they do this all the time to different.
Well, what do they do?
What do you mean? They prank.
They prank. Well, how do they prank? Like they leave a burning bag of shit on his doorstep?
No,
Like what do you mean they pranked him?
They call up. They get to speak to like Jerome Powell, and yeah, they get. And I guess
I like how he admits to them that.
So,
like,
okay, well, hang on. You're leaving so much out. Like, I didn't. How did they get to speak to Jerome Powell? Who did they say
how did
was
they get his
calling?
phone number?
That's an interesting thing.
Mm.
I really am curious about that. But who did they say they were? Who did one of them say he was?
Yes, Zevinsky. Did I saying his
Who?
name right?
Zevinsky
Yeah.
from Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they pretend they're King Zevinsky.
Anyway, so they pretend, and I guess that Powell didn't like give any important information. Just
So says Powell. I mean,
well, so says the king. Yeah, they were
The
like,
king?
no, they're
Wasn't it on a Zoom or was it a phone call?
I think it was Zoom.
Yeah, it was Zoom, right?
Zoom.
Like, how do they fucking get through it? Like, that's pretty. Like, I'm genuinely curious. How do you get through the layers?
And
to get
all
to
I
that
know
bit?
is they got him to talk about like the economy and inflation.
What did he say?
And that I don't know.
We're fucked.
Probably nothing smart, but how did same way that Sacha Baron Cohen, as Ali G used to land those interviews.
So you know what's interesting? Yes, so something he used to do once he became more recognized was he would. So he'd turn up in his like FUBU gear and all the Tommy gear hat and stuff, and he would like carry all the equipment, and so he'd have his cameraman dress up really smart. So the guy was thinking like, oh, this guy's just like slapping around a bunch of like camera equipment, like pay no attention to him. Like the guy in the suit's obviously the guy who's going to interview me. And then like, he'd set some of the camera equipment up, and then he'd like go and do the interview, and the guy would be like, what's going on here? So
I mean, that's still hard to pull off because
Yeah.
that dude is tall.
He is
like
a tall
Sacha
guy.
Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
I think he's like 6'5", 6'6", I think.
yeah, which would not make him the tallest person that we interact with at Muddy Waters. But anyway, I think what's great about this is firstly, Jerome Powell's like, trying to do a bit of a balancing act as he speaks as Fed chair. And like gets on the phone with Zelensky, or who he thinks is Zelensky's like, yeah, man, we are fucked. Like, no ability to control this inflation stuff. Can wreck the economy. Like, we're totally fucked. So it does make me wonder what we could do as like sat here, and that would be real edge against like these millennial kind of like fund managers, because probably kids these days don't do prank calls, right? Like,
Well,
Not really.
Well, remember,
I did.
shortly after he started his anti-corruption campaign, and the guy who was appointed, he appointed chairman of the anti-corruption movement, or anti-corruption drive, this guy Wang Qishan.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, we used to talk about how, because the thing is, the Ministry of State Security, they've had officers in Hong Kong for a long time. And so I understood from talking to people who had investigation firms there that like you could generally, like the MSS guys were just cocky motherfuckers. Like they were generally young. They didn't carry badges. They carried themselves like with, like they had 10-foot dicks, and they would just like walk into some place and be like, yeah, I'm MSS. So get your boss, get me these files, get me coffee. And like, no, and everybody's too scared to ask him for like ID. So we were talking about like how you should totally like roll up and be like, Wang Qishan, I mean, Chinese dudes rolling up for us and, and doing
to be like, all right, we need to know, like, obviously you're cheating on taxes.
How are
so
you committing?
yeah.
How are you committing fraud? What are your real numbers?
Yeah.
Show me the real numbers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll leave you alone now. I mean, I tried to get on a conference call once by saying I was Wang Qishan.
I mean, you did get on a conference call
By saying I was Jim Oboice Jr.
Yeah.
Guy's got a bigger schlong than Wang Qishan. He's more known in China.
So yeah, it's, I don't know, it's pretty awesome.
It was a phone conversation.
It was a phone conversation?
Yeah. And
okay,
the
there was
two
a video of it though, no?
comedians, but it was phone. It wasn't a Zoom.
It's pretty awesome. Like it's a great skill, and one that I think will probably die out with like mobile phones, because who picks up a no-name number? I mean,
evidently the Fed.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the first things I ever downloaded. Like when they had the tube sites, was You Kick My Dog.
I mean, like RedTube?
No, you don't download anymore. You stream. But like you remember they had like LimeWire and.
Well, that was the Kerpaw. You Kick My Dog.
You Kick My Dog.
There was like that Kerpaw soundboard.
Yeah, so good.
I'll kill you. Just kidding. Yeah.
They're probably like a whole group of people like who are never gonna have the joy of like calling the pizza place or any of these like awesome things. Sad.
Let's talk about the hippos. Spawned from drug lord Pablo Escobar.
Well, he didn't actually impregnate hippos.
No, but it was from his ranch that he had purchased these hippos.
Mm-hmm.
He had, I guess, an exotic zoo. Is that right? Kind of like that's what he...
That was his thing, right? That's what he was famous for.
Yeah.
His exotic zoo.
No, I'm serious.
I'm serious
In
too.
my
Did he
book,
do it? Is there anything else notable about him?
No, but anyway, these hippos, they
How did he make his money again? What did he do for a living?
Import, export.
I mean, kind of like...
Yogurt?
Wasn't he...
Wasn't that Greek yogurt? Did he invent that Greek yogurt that we like so much?
Did he own
Yeah.
I mean, did he originally own Telefonica?
No.
Let's look this up. I thought he was a drug lord.
I don't know. Are you sure? Do you want me to read it?
Pablo
Escobar.
Not Eskimo Bar.
Colombian drug lord, politician who was the founder and sole leader of am I saying this right?
Medellin.
Cartel. I said that he was cartel, dubbed the king of cocaine. Is this why he's famous?
I mean,
I just knew about the hippos.
You're what, Gen Z or something? You didn't grow up with this guy?
This guy's my uncle.
I was gonna say, who are you buying your shit from back in the 80s, Krista?
I mean, he said he was my uncle, but I don't know. You want to talk about it?
So, I think it's a wonderful legacy that he's left Colombia, like the country he terrorized for so long. The final insult once they killed the dude was just like, yeah, I'm gonna leave fucking hippos all over the place.
Right. So they escaped and now they're procreating. There are no natural predators there.
Right. But what's awesome about it is the way they're dealing with this problem. It's not like, oh, there are rats, we'll release cats. They've got to castrate these hippos, which is actually very difficult to do. So I think
time-consuming, difficult, expensive.
So it apparently costs
like 17 grand.
$17,000 US.
Isn't that crazy?
Because they shoot it with a tranq dart.
Right.
It takes like 4 or 5 hours to remove the balls, and and I guess they just leave it there to wake up or something, which that's kind of a weird one.
Dude, how pissed off is the hippo going to be when it wakes up and it realizes it's
got
no fucking
That's what I'm
balls?
saying.
I didn't realize.
That's like the
until
first time I woke up in a bathtub of ice, like a fucking scar where my kidney
I
was.
didn't realize how hippos are really aggressive and like so many people.
Very dangerous animals.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a dick to it, sure.
No.
No, they're pretty aggressive animals.
Really aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want them in their zoo, but I guess Mexico is this guy from who runs the
fucking look same.
No, the guy who runs the Mexican zoo is I don't know if he runs
Zoo.
I swear to God, he's fly them over.
There's a guy who's.
I read this.
There's a guy who's got an animal sanctuary
in Mexico.
He's Mexican. The sanctuary's in Mexico. It's not like a zoo in Mexico. You're so fucking racist. There's the goddamn Italianness in you. It's just so racist.
Anyways,
I swear to fuck.
You've done a lot of research on this. That's what I like.
Oh, I thought it was he ran this very famous Mexican zoo, but I get wrong.
So he's importing the hippos?
Well, that's what he wants to do. I think it's...
No, I think they've sent some of them to him, which is cheaper than, $17,000 a castration operation. Which, by the way, you might not be aware. Colombia is actually not a very wealthy country.
Dude, that's so bad that they're probably spending more per capita by a multiple on castrating hippos than they are on healthcare for like individuals who live there.
And actually, that's what it said in this article. I swear to God.
Well, right. And you know, and if they
that's exactly what it said.
And if they just like let the cocaine trade flourish and tax it, they'd be able to pay. They'd be able to pay for the. They'd be able to pay for the surgeries, right? Like
we're solving. All these problems.
What kind of stupid fucking country like knocks its GDP down by like 80-90%?
Yeah.
It could be a very wealthy country.
With fewer hippos.
Yes. All the hippos would be in enclosures and wouldn't have this problem.
I swear to God, I read this in the article, and the zoo or whatever in Mexico only had 2 hippos named Freddy and Kathy. I swear
Shut the fuck up.
I swear to God, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but they sent the rest to Jerome Powell's zoo.
I'm not saying...
So that's a real legacy of Pablo Escobar.
Maybe this isn't
That's
factual, but I swear...
if the Sacklers would have just left hippos everywhere, no one would have given a shit.
Oh, I mean, they have time. They definitely have time. I know, right?
Everyone would forget about Well,
it's like put my name back on this building, or every fucking day, I'm going to release more hippos on your property.
It's going to be a problem.
So Sacklers, if you're watching, we've thought of a solution to make everyone forget about the opioid epidemic that you caused.
Yeah, your approach to PR, you got to think outside the box here.
Okay, so next, let's talk about Randeep Hothi. Did I say it wrong?
No, you only worked with him for a while. Like
I always
that
call
sucks.
him Randeep. I didn't call him by his surname.
No,
Is it Hothi?
Hoti.
Hoti. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to us. Apologize to Randeep.
I'm sorry, Randeep.
Okay, so what about your former colleague whose name you can't pronounce?
A fierce critic of Elon Musk.
Wait, what?
I'm just reading the board. A fierce critic of Elon Musk.
Don't read.
Tesla.
Talk to me.
He sued the billionaire for defamation in 2019, and Musk elected to settle the case for $10,000. And you were going to talk about this.
Right. So
I think Randeep accepted a 998 offer under California law, which you could tell us.
So this is actually pretty interesting what happened because yes, Elon Musk defamed Randeep Hothi in an email that he sent to this guy Aaron Greenspan, who operates a website called Plainsight. And in the email, Musk asserted that Randeep, when he had driven his car into the Tesla parking lot to, do some diligence on Tesla, that Randeep almost seriously injured a security guard, but he sideswiped him, made contact with the security guard. So initially, Tesla sued Randeep some years ago. Well, Tesla got a temporary restraining order against Randeep, and then they moved to make it a permanent injunction. And so in that proceeding, Randeep got the court to order Tesla to turn over the surveillance tapes that showed him supposedly hitting the security guard. So of course, because this is a complete lie, that Tesla never turned the tapes over and just dropped the case. So after they dropped the case, Aaron Greenspan emailed Musk, and so Musk fired back with the allegation that Randeep almost killed the guy, blah, blah, blah. So Randeep filed suit in California state court, against Elon Musk because both were residents of California at the time. And anyway, so I guess he filed the suit maybe in 2019. And so they just settled it. Now they settled it for $10,000. And, it sucks because seeing Elon Musk get away with crazy shit, like he had, when he called that guy Vern Unsworth a pedo guy with zero basis other than he lives in Thailand, which does mean there's an 80% probability. I'm just
say that with a straight face.
I know I can't say that with a straight face.
Do it again.
I can't. I mean, fair enough. But if you can't prove it, other than by saying he lives in Thailand. So anyway, Vern Unsworth, probably had a very meritorious case, but he got crazy ass Lynn Wood to represent him. And so Lynn Wood, it sounds like, did just an abysmal job at trial. And so the settlement was confidential, but it sounds like, Vern Unsworth got like almost nothing. Which I should have checked on that, but I assume that was federal court in California. And so this 998 settlement statute doesn't apply. But so California, I'd never heard of this. There's actually this provision in the Civil Code, section 998. And let's say I'm suing you. I'm the plaintiff, you're the defendant. So what you have the option to do is to make me a 998 offer, which you say, okay, Carson, I'll settle with you. And it only refers to monetary damages. So there's nothing else that can be part of this offer. So you say, fine, I'll agree to settle with you for $10,000. Now, if I reject your offer and I either don't get a verdict in my favor or I get a verdict in my favor, but the damages I get are lower than what you offered me, then I'm on the hook for a good portion of your legal expenses accrued from after you made the offer. So it sounds like which
is why he took the...
Right. So it sounds like in Randeep's case that probably would have been about $250,000. So if Randeep had gone to a verdict, and if he either didn't get a verdict in his favor or he got a verdict in his favor but got damages awarded of less than $10,000, he could have been on the hook having to pay Musk like $250,000. And so this is actually really, because California is such a litigious state. I mean, I'm surprised that this provision exists, but I mean, it's quite a weapon in a situation like this where you have massively unequal wealth, because I get the impression that that would have been a number for Randeep. And so the problem that Randeep was facing is that with defamation, with any tort or any action, you have to prove damages. And with defamation, it's hard to say what the monetary amount of damages were. So, and when you look at a guy, if you say, well, $250,000, a lot of money to this guy, that implies that that the amount of damage that could have been done to him economically through the defamation wasn't that high. So it was actually, Musk's legal team outmaneuvered Randeep's legal team. Like, I don't think they saw this 998 offer coming. And it's a fucking shame. Like, it's just amazing how bulletproof Elon is. But look, make no mistake, I do think that this should be read as an admission of wrongdoing by Elon Musk. And no amount of damages was ever obviously going to, hurt Elon Musk. He can basically defame probably everybody in this country, and still it's like pocket change to him. Right. But anyway, that's what happened. So it backed Randeep into a corner that, it fucking sucks. It really does.
Probably has enough money to defame everyone in this country and Thailand.
Well, except remember, Thailand, don't fuck with the king.
True.
Because the next time that jet lands in Thailand, for Elon to go do his own pedo shit, that's they won't fuck around. They'll throw him in prison.
That brings us on nicely to our next topic of discussion, which really is just the video. Should we just have them play the video?
But why did you think it was it's worth even mentioning?
Oh,
it's just
hang on. There's another.
There's one more.
Before, we'll do this video as the closing, but I want to. A lot of people are wondering now. There's concern about banks and how can you see this coming? Because we're always fighting the last war. Like, what's a good leading indicator of a failed bank? So I want to show some stock charts here. So first I'm going to show this one. Okay, so this is First Republic Bank. And this is from July 1st of 2022 to today. So you could see it's down about 98% since then. Now, what happened in July of 2022 at First Republic.
In July of...
Yeah,
2022,
almost a year
last
ago.
year. Yeah.
Okay. They kicked us out. Yes. I suspect it's because they've gotten a subpoena from the DOJ.
Yes.
And so they,
Kelly.
and so, you know, like,
Yeah.
we're too, you know, like Muddy Waters must be way too big of a risk to keep around. And so less than a year later, they're in the ground.
They have bigger, yeah.
Hold on.
Okay, here's a stock chart of Credit Suisse from November 1st of 2013 onward. This one is down about 97%.
Mm-hmm.
What happened in November of 2013?
They told us to go fuck ourselves.
They told us that they would not prime for us. The Reputation Risk Committee pulled the plug on that. Yeah, okay. Now, these guys aren't out of business yet because they're Japanese, but this is Nomura. And so this is from January of 2017. And since then, they're down about 33%, which is quite a poor track record.
Mm-hmm.
January of 2017, shortly after January, is when they threw us out as clients also.
What was really outrageous was they threw us out because we were short China Huishan on swap. Like, all the fucking things to get your knickers in a twist about.
Right. Well, it's because like the SFC, you know, just
Right.
asked them for the trading records. And, you know, to be fair to them, they had just shut down the US equities business for like the 18th time this century. And so it was being handled, like we were moved to like London where they were handling the relationship, and those were credit ISDA guys. And they're like, fuck these equity.
Some trouble in the
assholes.
Orient. Bollocks.
You think they really spoke with the British accent, the guys who made that decision?
Yeah.
As opposed, okay.
Dude,
Anyway.
the Japanese guys are asleep. I mean, you have to be really bad to get sent to London from Japan in Nomura.
Fair enough. Okay. Now, the only bank which hasn't completely fucked up as a result of mistreating us is Bank of America. So in early 2016, after we shorted Group Casino on swap, they kicked us out. Now they're up since then. However, they underperformed the S&P 500 significantly. So here's the point. If you're a risk officer at a financial institution and you're looking at doing business with us or maintaining your relationship with us, and you think that maybe you should end the bank's relationship with us, let me tell you something, buddy. We're not the risk. You're the fucking risk. You're going down. That is the history of everybody who's kicked us out.
That is true. And if you look at, I think, the first kind of quasi-prime to take us on was Albert Fried. They got acquired.
Yeah, man. It's been massive. Yeah. Big premium because of us.
So
actually, we were, I think, the largest prime client there too.
Yeah.
So
same.
hey, future credit, future risk officer, do you want to be a zero or Japanese version of a zero, which is,
go sideways for 38 years.
All sideways and down for, like a century. Or do you want to be a fucking hero?
Yep.
Do you want to be Albert Fried? You want to be the hero.
And before we finish the video, just a quick recap on Credit Suisse, who continue to distinguish themselves. So I was in Switzerland last year and we were talking to some potential LPs. And what I really like about the Swiss is, everyone we met with, the odd joke about, hiding Nazi gold comes up and they're like, oh yeah, it's so good. We've all shed our reputation for just being a place for despots and criminals to park their money. I'm like,
really? They have?
We have? Like, what the fuck have you guys got left?
I know. I was going to say there must be no more assets left in the country.
So everyone is always joking how much of UBS and Credit Suisse's tier 1 capital is just stolen Nazi gold. Well, turns out actually it might be more than they were letting on. So this is an article from the Financial Times, April 18th. It starts as, probably most articles about Credit Suisse should. Credit Suisse deliberately sought to hamper an investigation into Nazi assets last year. Wow, guys. That claimed the bank had serviced scores of undisclosed accounts according to US senators. So you're thinking maybe it was a dude who was just in an office somewhere. with at least one account linked to a senior SS officer that was open until 2002.
Wow.
Oops. Pretty fucking bad.
You know, I mean, why didn't they go to Ye for a bailout?
I mean, dude, you're wondering, like, they must be wondering why they still have these, like, octogenarian clients in Argentina and why, like, you know, the Argentinian office is doing so much business. But what a fucking group of scumbags. So the allegations relate to a probe launched in 2020 at Credit Suisse, looking at allegations of human rights abuses, money illicitly looted away.
I mean, I guess if you fuck with that investigation in 2022, 2023, like whose career are you acting to protect?
So this is the good bit. So Credit Suisse had claimed that an Alex partner investigation had exonerated it of wrongdoing, okay? And
I mean, look, we've seen a lot of these claims about internal investigations exonerating companies when, in reality...
Unfortunately, there was a US senator who published another report, which the bank had opted to keep secret. So I think not only does this goes further, Credit Suisse maintained accounts, mostly until now undisclosed, for at least 99 individuals who were either senior Nazi officials in Germany or members of Nazi-affiliated groups in Argentina. So I think what I like about this, from a more general point, is not that Credit Suisse is going to Credit Suisse. It's a good look into what happens with these internal investigations that we are endlessly saying are bullshit, are whitewashing. And this is a really good example of actually what comes to light when you have two investigations, one that is independent and one that is slightly less independent.
Because again, the thing that when you put it that way, the thing that's so interesting is the decision makers here have been dead for decades,
right.
And yet they will still sweep this shit under the rug.
Right.
You know, whereas the
bank's only been dead for 10 years. So yes,
exactly. So then we'll close with, I think it was the Daily Show used to say, now your moment of Zen.
Krista,
so hopefully you're watching this on video and
take us out.
How am I taking you out?
Take us out.
Just
Thanks for joining us. What?
Just like outro with the moment of Zen reference.
Well, I don't know it. I don't know the Zen part. I don't know it.
Your moment of Zen.
Moment of Zen.
Say thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Your moment of Zen.
Look at my enormous penis, and my troubles start melting away. I take a look at my enormous penis, and the happy times are coming to stay.